Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Faris bin Asmadi, a third-year student of Computer Network and Security. I'll be giving a brief of my final year project, which I will be doing a research of fraud detection in cryptocurrency transaction using machine learning, supervised machine learning. So, things that will be covered in this video are firstly on the introduction, followed by problem background and proposed solution, objective and scope. So let's move on to the introduction first. So what is exactly cryptocurrency? So cryptocurrency or token is a virtual currency which is a different form of payment created using encryption algorithms to secure the payment. So this virtual currency is not controlled by the government or bank, means that there is no central authority to manage and maintain the value of cryptocurrency. For example, there will be no transaction limit through the online payment, and also there are no additional charges or tax through international payment. Crypto tokens can be used to purchase goods and services as well as assets like stocks. Cryptocurrency also works through a blockchain technology where transactions are recorded in blocks that are then linked together on a chain of previous cryptocurrency transactions. It is also replicated and distributed across the countless computers in the blockchain network. There are a few cryptocurrency networks available for now, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Stellar, and more on the internet. However, a payment through cryptocurrency is very volatile since it involves with the technology assets and can be hacked by anyone. It has received a public interest incredibly, giving more opportunities to people across the world, across the network involved with the fraud and scams in cryptocurrency. Therefore, a fraud detection model will be introduced to detect and avoid the fraud and scams in cryptocurrency transactions by using supervised machine learning. So let's then take a deeper look at the fraud and scams in cryptocurrency transaction through the problem background. So one of the famous unethical behaviors in cryptocurrency is pump and dump scams. Pump and dump scams actually happens when the owner of the stock artificially inflates the price of its stock through false and misleading positive statements, which is known as pump, and sell the cheaply purchased stock at higher price at a higher price, which is dump. So the medium communication for traders involved in pump and dump is social media platforms or anonymized messaging apps like Telegram and Discord. So they then begin to coordinate rumors, misinformation by hyping up and claiming to have information that will be positive for the stock, and therefore uh, it will it will drive up the price of the stock. Sorry, sorry. So Once the price of the stock has been increased sufficiently by unsuspecting much, the promoters then sell the stock at high prices. After these fraudsters dump their shares and stop hyping the stock, the price typically falls and investors who bought the stock eventually lose their money. This issue will become the biggest problem to the investors out there in purchasing stock through payment of cryptocurrency transaction. So let's take a look at the previous study. So based on the several studies, there are a few methods were introduced to detect the pump and dump scheme. So uh, one of the studies uses the uh, random forest and generalized linear model algorithm based on the supervised machine learning approach to predict the possible event of pump and dump scheme. So specifically, it can detect the likelihood of a pump for all listed coins on a cryptocurrency. Training data discovered by them consists of 60 true samples and 60 true samples and 20,000 false samples. They then realized the true false samples ratio was 0.3% and decided to decrease the number of false samples and also increase the number of trees in random forest model. They then developed and trained three models uh, which are random forest 1, random forest 2 and random forest 3, which 20,000, 5,000 and 1,000 false samples and 5,000, 10,000 and 20,000 number of trees respectively for each model. So based on the results, random forest models are much better than generalized linear model in terms of analysis to calculate the precision and F1 score, where a random forestry model performs better than all of the models trained. Another study that we found is uses the convolution neural networks (CNN) model to predict both traditional stock and cryptocurrency prices to a reasonable degree of success. However, I found that these papers lack of a reliable pump and dump database. So the models should be trained with a lot of data for an effective outcome. Nonetheless, with an unreliable pump and dump data use will lead to the negative conclusion of the studies. So, as an improvement in my research study, we should focus on reliable source of data, and the models should be trained with valid datasets, despite the amount of data is small, but resulting in effective analysis. So now let's move on to the objectives of this research study. So there will be three main objectives of this research project. So firstly, to collect blockchain data from Bitcoin, which is Bitcoin Core, cryptocurrency networks, clean and pre-process the blockchain data by handling missing values, removing outliers, and normalizing features. So, for the data collection, we will collect the blockchain data from Bitcoin, uh, which is called as Bitcoin Core, the name of the blockchain, which contains records of all transactions ever made on the Bitcoin network. The dataset includes transaction details such as transaction IDs, inputs, outputs, timestamps, and transactions amounts. It can be downloaded from various sources, including Bitcoin Score's official website and blockchain explorers. Um, and then for the pre-processing, we will be handling missing values, removing outliers, and normalizing features from the blockchain data collected. Alright, so the second objective is to train the fraud detection model by applying a random forest algorithm based on supervised machine learning approach. Train the model with the collected dataset and evaluation through the analysis of accuracy and precision of the fraud detection model. Alright, so we need to apply the chosen supervised learning technique, which is random forest, to classify transactions as fraudulent or legitimate based on relevant features of the datasets. We also need to train by splitting the dataset into training and testing sets and use techniques like cross-validation for model evaluation. Uh, we also need to train the fraud detection model on the training data and tune hyperparameters to optimize performance. To be specific with the random forest algorithm use, we need to experiment the fraud detection model with different model architectures, which is by changing the true-false ratio and number of trees. So for the evaluation of fraud detection models, we need to evaluate the performance of the fraud detection models using appropriate evaluation metrics, which are accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score, assessing the ability of the models in order to accurately identify fraudulent transactions while minimizing false positives and false negatives. Then the third objective is to validate the effectiveness of the fraud detection model using real-world case studies and historical cryptocurrency fraud events and compare it with existing detection methods. So basically, we will take a look at the latest pump and dump scams events and also the greatest pump and dump scams throughout history. So the fraud detection model used will also be compared with existing detection methods introduced in other studies. So lastly, we will continue with three main scopes of this research study to detect fraudulent activities using supervised machine learning approach. So firstly is study methods for detecting fraudulent activities in cryptocurrency transaction, such as Ponzi scheme or pump and dump schemes, by applying machine learning algorithms to blockchain data and transaction patterns. So we we chose pump and dump scams is because it is one of the biggest fraudulent activities in cryptocurrency. We think that all investors do not deserve to fall into this trap of buying a worthless stock with a high payment and eventually lose the money. So the fraudulent model will help all the investors out there to invest their money in worthy stock by avoiding all of those scam stocks. So secondly, we decided to use the random forest algorithm method of supervised machine learning uh, for fraud detection in cryptocurrency transaction. So as mentioned before, based on the previous study, random forest model has the highest performance in detecting dump and pump scams activity and ensures the best analysis and outcome for the conclusion. So, thirdly, the fraud detection model we focus on the Bitcoin blockchain dataset, which is Bitcoin Core, only since each cryptocurrency network has their own blockchain datasets. So I guess that's all from me for the proposal of this research study. Thank you.